لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم. So I don't know how many of you opted for this topic, but I was sent a screenshot where a lot of people did. So inshallah, it's a topic that you're interested in, and since it's a topic you're interested in and you've asked for it, guess what the first thing is going to be? It's very important for me. I don't think the sessions where we want to tick a box that, oh, alhamdulillah, I'm doing Islamic learning, and those aren't too useful. It should be things that we want to learn, and we have to reassess at the end that, are we learning, is it positive or not? The good thing is, I'm leaving soon, so we'll only have one more session. So, if you want to make me happy that your sessions are really good, that's all right. But in future sessions, future projects, it's very important that you have expectations at the start. You have something you're looking to achieve, and by the end, you're able to see. So technically what we should have done at the end of the last session was that we, at the end, gather and see that did we achieve our expectations or not. So what are your expectations from today's class? This is what the title is. Initially it was juggling. I felt juggling was a bit, one of the reasons is you can't juggle with two things, right? You have to have three things to juggle. But juggling seems like something that you don't want to do. Balancing is something you want to do. Juggling between different things like, what should I do about this? I don't know how to handle it, right? But balancing is something that you want to do correctly. So I changed the name with your permission. And if you don't give me permission, it's too late anyways. So what are your expectations from this topic? Yeah?
I would say, you're being told that at the end of the day, towards your final moment, have a balanced life.
Okay.
How to reach that spiritual level or limit.
Okay.
Things that we've had a balanced life towards spiritual and spirituality.
Nice. They knew I was going to use PowerPoint today, so they didn't leave board markers. Otherwise, I'd write it in this white spot, but it's okay. It's fine. It's all right. Okay, so how to balance our life so that...
Final moments.
Okay. Okay, good word. So you don't want excess, right? Yeah, excessive. You don't want to be excessive on either side. Yeah, that's good. So that's what balance means, not to be excessive. What else? Anyone else? You have no expectations from the class at all.
So how far can you go in regards to your relationship with the world?
Very nice, very nice. So when we talk about being excessive, extent is something that's very relevant. Very good. So what's the extent of our relationship with the dunya? Very good. These are two questions that we will be speaking about, inshallah. Anything else?
So exactly what she said, but for Deen.
Okay.
Because too much of anything is, if it's too excessive, then it gets you cannot find that balance.
Very good, very good. Excellent. So this is one of the very challenging questions that we're going to be discussing today. I'm just waiting for the markers. And you're like, what's that challenging question? You're not saying it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've had too many experiences of writing with permanent markers. I'm going to check this. Okay. So the first point we had was, what was the key word? What was the key word that you mentioned? Not being excessive on either side. Yeah. Okay. So sometimes they're permanent, sometimes they don't write. Okay, this looks better. How to live in a balanced manner. Not being excessive. The second point that we had was the extent of attachment. Can I add that word? Attachment, involvement, all of these can be used. To the dunya. And the third one was, you'll have to forgive me for putting these in my own words. Being over religious. So this is a question from one side. Let me ask it to you like this, in a nice way and then the difficult way. Somebody who just is religious the whole day, does that make sense? No. But can we also say on the other side that, so we shouldn't be so religious at times? It is a tough one. Any thoughts to start with? We'll work on it towards the end. This is exactly one of the questions we're going to address. Any thoughts on this? Yeah?
I think Islam, if practiced correctly, teaches you how to prioritize and when to prioritize worldly things like working hard, going to school,
Yeah.
prioritizing education and learning,
Yeah.
working, and then also teaches you when you need to, gives you times that you have to pray, you have to fast, but
Perfect.
you also have to work hard. And so if you practice correctly, you can do both.
Perfect. So keep in mind for, I'm not going to say it. That's fine. That's a very good point. We're going to discuss that. There's two ways you can explain that. If I ask you to explain it and you had the right way, then the class will be finished. So that's not fun. So I'll leave it at that. It's good you didn't specify that one way of explaining it. You probably meant it. But inshallah, let's explore it. Alaykum salam. Let's explore it in steps. Should I recap?
Yes, please.
Yes? Okay. So we started with expectations, like, I'll mention this point because it's important for me. And I think you guys should have this in your lives. Okay. You know how Mulanas want to say one point and then they remember another point and then they remember another point? Yeah. That's happening just now. Before that, I want to tell you that this effort that you're doing is a brilliant effort to have such extra classes. I know a lot of you are really busy, and as in all of you are really busy and you have a lot of commitments, but just the fact that you're putting aside time for studying Islam is an amazing thing, and note that it's going to benefit you a lot in your lives. And inshallah, those who are sort of driving this, encourage them to be doing it more and more, inshallah, so that it continues. Second point that I wanted to move on from that is that it's very important to have expectations from your class and to be able to achieve them. Not that we just come over here and we tick the box. I did my once a week Islamic learning. But you didn't get anything out of it. You didn't benefit at all. It didn't have any ideas for you that are beneficial. So it's important in today's lesson to have the right expectations. What I've prepared and what you are expecting should match. Otherwise, we won't have very productive sessions. So far the three things that have been mentioned are things that we'll speak about. How to live, wow, subhanAllah. How to live in a balanced manner, not being excessive, the extent of attachment to the buildings, the world, and being over-religious. So I'll just emphasize this question again. Being over-religious, we understand in our lives that a person who's just namaz the whole day, that's not a positive lifestyle. That's not the right lifestyle. But on the other side, can we say that we should be religious in certain places we can be irreligious? Or we shouldn't be so religious? Or we shouldn't pay so much attention to our hereafter? So you see, both of these sentences are a problem for us. But where is that? Is it balance? Is it something else? What's in the middle? That's what we want to explore. Any other expectations from the class today? Yeah?
I want to check whether it's okay to want to live a luxurious life.
Very nice. Excellent. See, these questions that you may not say, these are exactly the topics. Please say them. This is exactly one of the very pinpoint important points. Sorry, I'm rephrasing all of these, but this is quite close to your words. Is luxury okay or not? Very good. Anything else? Any other key words? Any key thoughts, key words? Anyone else? Okay. How many of us feel that our minds are thinking about this topic right now? One person. Two people. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that means we need to speak about the expectations a little more. Okay, let me try it like this. It's probably hard for you to put up your hands. You have to pull up your sleeve and stuff like that. How many of you think we're ready for the topic? Please nod. Yeah, everyone? I can see everyone nodding. Pretty much. Okay, let's go ahead. The style of the class is the same. Please do interrupt and speak at any point. I've decided to design a nice cool, shiny PowerPoint. The reason being is that it gives more structure. When I was trying to write your points last time, I had a structure, but I couldn't show it to you. So this will allow for my structure, and I'll write your points as we move along. Do we have something to clean this? Yeah, that works. It's going to be recorded, and they're going to be like, what's going on over here? Let's go. Okay. If anyone has a tissue, that's fine. Okay, shall we move on? The first, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll save my bag. The first discussion that I want to have is our perception. So, what do we understand from Deen and Dunya? What I'm looking for over here isn't your final perception that we want to come out from today's class with. It's the initial ideas that we have. What do we think about Deen and Dunya? So I have a few thoughts. Can you please mention your thoughts? The easier and the more open you speak, the easier you'll see it is to progress. That's the main reason. So what do we think about Deen and Dunya? Any ideas about this? So the first thing was questions, right? You created questions. But initial perceptions, even if you think they're wrong, okay, let me ask it like this. This is an easier way of thinking. What do you think most of the people in the Jamaat or in your surroundings think about Deen and Dunya? Very good. Deen is more important than Dunya. What else?
Deen is namaz, roja, hajj.
Very good.
And dunya is our lifestyle, like how we live and how focused are we on the worldly aspects.
Okay, I'll ask you to explain that in a few minutes, in slightly more, because we're moving to lifestyle. Is the next section. Very good. Okay. So Deen is more important than Dunya, and Deen means namaz, roja. Okay. What else? Yeah. Very good. Very good. See, by speaking, you've given me the confidence that I can move on. You know why? My first slide is a bit stronger than what you said, but Dunya is bad. Why this nose of a goat? Anyone knows why? It isn't my mistake. I chose. Sorry? Nose of the goat and desires?
Yeah, because I just feel like our desires are like really hard to contain or stay away from.
And so is the nose of a goat.
No, even just like a flesh can.
Ah, okay. If you pay attention a little lower, this goat has got a bit of a flu.
Yeah.
That's intentional too.
Is it being noisy?
Nice try. That's very good. But that's not the answer. So maybe you guys have heard this. So we're often taught, I'm coming to that in a second. We're often taught that dunya is something really bad. And if you go to any or many standard lectures, you'll be told dunya is bad, dunya is bad, dunya is bad, akhirat is good. Like you mentioned, that akhirah is important, dunya is unimportant. Forget about the dunya, work on your akhirah, right? That's what many of us are told. Distance ourselves from your dunya, move away from the dunya, loving the dunya is the cause of all issues. This is what we're told, right? These are perceptions. I'm not shaping them yet. We want to see where we're starting, and then we'll move on to what the possibilities are. The reason I brought this slide is we have a hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam that says the dunya is less valuable in my eyes than the snot of a goat. So how much would you pay for that? Or how much would somebody have to pay you to go within a meter of such a goat? Imam Ali is saying the whole dunya has less value for me than that. So what's the conclusion? Dunya is bad. Dunya is something we distance ourselves from. That's the conclusion. That. Remember, what are we discussing right now? Our initial perceptions. So this is one initial perception that you mentioned. Any points over here? Should we move on to the second one? Nothing? Okay. The second one is also mentioned at the back. You have to pick between Deen and Dunya. Right? You can't have both. Sometimes searching for photos on the internet is a bit tough. I mean, the ball should have had, the second one should have had like paradise. I don't know, as hellfire. Because it's between dunya and, you don't pick like, okay, I want hellfire, I don't want the dunya. Right? You pick Jannah. Anyway, this is the best I could find. This world and the hereafter are two different paths. look, either you want this or you want this. And so some people, let me tell you an interesting story. You must pick the akhirah, obviously, because it's the more important path. And you must leave this dunya. Interesting story. I want you to analyze this. If you've realized, what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to teach you. I'm trying to get you to think. I'm trying to get you to follow where I'm taking. It's like I'm trying to drag you and pull you somewhere. And the best way you can follow is to think. And the best way I can tell if you're following is your facial reaction, which has been good until now. If there's any questions or you're not being pulled, you've been left behind, you've missed the bus, just put your hand up and say. I want you to think, turn those cogs that are not oiled well enough. A great person in Dar es Salaam who passed away 2 years ago, pretty much in these days, in August, actually just a month ago, is Mahmoud Daya, Sheikh Mahmoud Daya. Have you guys heard of him? Sheikh Mahmoud Daya. He passed away, he had studied in Qum, and he passed away unfortunately from cancer 2 years ago. Great man, really, really great man. And somebody wrote an article about him, that's what I want to talk about. And they said that Sheikh Mahmoud Daya had got the rare opportunity, my words obviously, don't search this like on the internet like this. I tried to look for the article, I couldn't find it unfortunately, but I read it myself at the time, so I can trust my memory, inshallah. Sheikh Mahmoud got the unique opportunity to get Deen and Dunya together. Why? Because Sheikh Mahmoud Daya had completed his studies in pharmacy. I think he'd done a master's in pharmacy, and he actually practiced as a chemist, as a pharmacist. And after that, after he'd practiced as a pharmacist, for a number of years, and he was doing really well, he decided to study in the Hawza as well. And over there even, he graduated from the Hawza and he came back to Dar es Salaam. The Hawza doesn't have graduation as such, but he reached a level where he became Sheikh. So people counted that as graduation. So they said this is the unique person that got Deen and Dunya together. What are our thoughts on this article? Or the idea that's being put across? Yeah?
The person that wrote it,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's an accomplishment or something that very few people can do.
Correct. Very few, very rare, unique opportunity. Excellent, that's one thing. What else? Yeah?
So when we discuss about, usually we learn about the Deen, it's the way of life, right? It's
Okay.
not the way of life. I think what's usually come across about the Deen is basically that if you are someone that lives a Deeni life, you're like living the Hawzawi life, and you're someone
Very good.
on Tuesday for Dua Tassal, Thursday for Dua Kumail.
Very good.
And if you're not, then you're someone that lives in the dunya, you're going for, let's say you have a secular job. And
Very good. Very good, very good. These are the perceptions I want to get out. So this is a perception exactly that's there. Let me tell you another story. I think you guys like stories. Well, everyone does. I like stories too. I was once with a close friend, again from Dar es Salaam. You might know him, so I won't say his name. And he's a really close friend, and I really enjoy his company. And we'd gone out to eat with a few other brothers, and those brothers were like, "Oh, tell us about the Hawza. What is like over there?" And he, you're sitting next to me, so he's like, "Ali, is there something wrong with me? I don't feel like studying in the Hawza. Does that make me something less?" What would my answer be? So this is our discussion. I can see some people want to say no, but they're scared it's wrong. No, it's right. I told him not at all. I told him you're completely fine, as long as we'll come to it. But that's exactly the perception, that you have to have studied in the Hawza to be successful in Deen. So now, if somebody has to have a master's and has to have worked for many years and also has to have become a sheikh, that's pretty much like how many people in the world have managed to do that? Right? So this is something that we've been taught. And again, there's a hadith to put this idea across. By the way, we'll come back and sort all of these hadith. I'm sure you won't forget the goat's snot. I was going to write Seda, but that sounds even more strange. I think all of you know what it means, right? Well, now you do. There's a hadith from Imam Ali. It says, "Is there no free person to leave this half-eaten food to its own people?" Talking about the dunya. Says that, look, why are you guys running after this dunya? If you're a free person, if you're a person that's free, Free doesn't mean, by the way, free in that sense, right? It means like free. Leave this half-eaten food for the people that want it. Or the Holy Prophet, there's a very beautiful hadith, and this is going to be a problem for us to solve, yeah? Try and think about these things. In seeking this world, there's harm to the akhirah, and in seeking the akhirah, there's harm to the dunya. Ooh. So the Prophet seems to be saying what we initially began with. It seems to be right, that either you pick dunya or you pick akhirah. Or deen and dunya. The word akhirah and deen will use interchangeably. So this is going to be a tough one now. We have so many hadith, we can't just throw these aside. We have to understand these. Okay. Have we got the question? The reason I brought these two perceptions is to get us into the question. Anyone wants to put their reputation at stake and mention what the question is? On stake works as well. You guys treat each other to stake if you get it right. Anyone? What's the question working with? Give me some idea from your side. Anything. What are we going to challenge? What are we going to speak about? What should my next slide read? Yeah?
Can we have both the deen?
Very good. So one of the key questions we're going to have is, can you have both or not? Very good. That's a key question we're going to answer. Again, this goes back to the expectations we had at the start. Very good. Anything else? I can challenge that all of you have something in your mind just now, but we are scared to say it because it could be wrong. I can also challenge that it's 95% right. The chance of being right is 95%. Anyone else want to share an idea? No? Okay, let's go. The next discussion we're going to have is practical lifestyles. How should we live? So I'm going to suggest 4 models, or 3, or 5. You'll see why I'm saying that. On how to live when it comes to deen and dunya, or dunya and akhirah. There's 5 or 4 or 3 practical lifestyles that we can discuss. The first one's an obvious one. Sorry for the photo again. Only work to achieve dunya. A person says, look, my life is focused on achieving dunya. If, this is important, pay attention to this concept. I want you to have a clear distinction between the 3, 4 or 5. These should be clearly distinct from each other. This person is saying that, let me ask you, please speak more and show me more thinking. Can this person be a Muslim or not? A person who says, my goal in life is just to work to reach the dunya. Can this person be a Muslim or not? Yes? Can you explain why?
So can you rephrase your question?
So this person that says, let's say I'm this person. Okay, I say that, look, my goal in life is just to achieve the dunya. I want to have a good amount of money. I want to have a good amount of fame. I want to have power, popularity. This is what I want. And anything that comes in the way of these goals, I put that aside. This is my priority in life. Can this person be a Muslim or not? Yes?
It's debatable because
So let's debate it. So tell me the 2 sides.
So you said their only goal is to attain fame, to
Only.
attain money, but
Yeah.
then there is an ulterior motive. Why do they want to get there?
Happiness. They want to attain happiness. They want to attain...
Then what is happiness to them?
Happiness to them is when... And when do you get that? When you're at... What are the Nakra cafes in Madrasah? What's the one in Masaki? There's a Nakra one in Masaki. Although there was that pink one that they closed down, huh? Okay, you want to go to that pink one and have that nice, I don't know, ice latte.
But
Double
then-
shot.
but
That's
then
happiness.
Everyone will have the same objective. Like happiness, different people will be different.
Fine, that's okay. One person says money, one person says fame, one person says it's power, one person wants people to do what they say. Have you seen these people? There are people like this, yeah. People that are nodding, they've seen these people. Some people want money and they outright say it. I'll answer the question if I say this, so I'm not going to say it. You give me your answer and then I'll say another anecdote. Can we be a Muslim and have this type of lifestyle or not? Yes.
It depends on the definition that they take as a Muslim.
Very good.
So they could be, let's say, practicing Muslim.
Okay.
Maybe in terms of, let's say, they're doing their wajibat and they're focused on the dunya.
Okay.
But they're not really. So when we talk about the other aspect of, let's say, reflecting on what they're doing and why they're doing it,
Yeah.
where they're headed, that part of Islam is maybe missed out.
Thank you.
Muslims
Thank you. Sometimes I get scared. Should I ask for so much contribution from your side? When you contribute like this, it's excellent. It's exactly what we want to discuss. So the starting was a very, very good point. And the rest of the part, let's discuss that. The first point is, it depends what you define a Muslim as. Brilliant. Because this question, you have to ask me, what do you mean by a Muslim? The second part, you said that this person can live that basic Islamic lifestyle and still be like this. Do we agree with the second part? And if not, tell me why.
Because it's contradictory then.
Okay, very good. What's contradictory? Where do you see this contradiction?
You're doing your wajibat,
Okay.
but at the same time, you don't have a plan to become probably more spiritual or to...
No, not enough. You have to go stronger than that. Yeah?
I mean, if you look at like the video of Ashura,
Okay.
they still prayed and they still said in Quran.
Okay.
They still have this mindset of
Okay.
I want power and I want money. So you
Okay.
technically can be a practicing
Good.
Muslim,
Good.
but still not reflecting what you're doing. Like,
Very good, very good. Okay, that's taken. So you've agreed with the sister. Sorry, I don't know your names, but you've agreed with the sister over there. And you've said that it depends what you define as a Muslim, and this person can have a basic Islamic lifestyle wajibat. And you gave the example, which is a good example of the day of Ashura, where they prayed, they might have been reciting Quran, they could have been fasting. So they were Muslims, but they also only care about the akhirah, dunya. So it's possible, yes. Thank you for a new contribution. Sorry?
What if they be private about their deen?
What if they're being what?
Like private. They don't want to report or show like, oh, like we pray on this time. They
Okay.
just, like, keep it to themselves.
Who?
The people who work for like Dunya.
Yeah, fine. So you're also in agreement. So we've got 3 sisters that are in agreement right now that you can live a basic Islamic lifestyle. Also, we had 4 actually. I disagreed with what you're saying. So we have 4 sisters who are saying you can live a basic Islamic lifestyle with only wanting to achieve the dunya. Yes?
But aren't they called mushrik if they're doing, they have something else in their heart and like, I don't know.
Munafiq, nifaq, hypocrisy.
Exactly.
Fine, no problem. That's a further level. Like a few of the sisters have now said, that's to attain a higher level. These people are saying, look, we're not these mulawara. We just want this basic Islam, aj kapeche, that's enough for us.
No, they say they're Muslims, but in their heart they know they're not.
But see, the question is that the sisters are saying that, why not? This person has said, I understand Islam is correct. I understand that this is the path to heaven. I want to follow this path. But look, don't talk about bigger goals in life. My bigger goals in life are all fame, popularity, and money, and power.
But aren't we all striving to become the best version of ourselves?
Let's put that discussion aside.
Perfection to Allah. So technically he's not a Muslim because he's not working in the path.
So you say, if somebody doesn't have that highest level, they're not even a Muslim.
No. He's on the path of working.
Why are you saying he? That's like...
Or she.
I'm just joking. Go on.
Yeah, so at least they have that sense of realization that I have to be on that path. I have to work towards it at least.
But see, the path for them is they're doing their namaz, they're doing their roja.
But that's not enough.
Why? Who
but
said?
I think it can be.
Yeah,
If you do your wajibat,
that's clear.
pray on time,
You're sorted. Even not on time. Even not on time.
But what if
You
you're
prayed.
just praying for the sake of praying? You're not doing that for that.
Doesn't matter. We're talking about the basic level. Exactly. We're talking about the basic level. So I think we've all pretty much concluded that you can be a basic Muslim and work. Now let me tell you the anecdote. I had a friend, another friend, and I really like this friend as well. Alhamdulillah. Very nice guys. And he said, Alhamdulillah, they speak very openly. And the way to realize is they call me Ali, not Sheikh. So he says, Ali, religion is like super important to me. But my goal in life is to become popular. It's hard to say these things, yeah? It means this person has really explored themselves and thought about these things properly. And this person had, and he said, my goal is to become popular, very popular. That's my goal. So it's possible. Okay, I disagree.
I have a thought on that.
Okay.
Isn't it good to be a Muslim and be popular, therefore
Okay.
trying to be able to spread
Very nice, very nice. These are really good. I use the word only carefully over here. And you guys all fell for it. Only work to achieve the dunya. Let me answer your point, which is a very good observation. If they want to do all their wajibat, is killing the imam haram or not? So then they weren't doing all their wajibat. A person who says, look, for me, I want followers on Instagram. I don't care about halal, haram, these kind of things. These are not important. I want followers. They have to put up a photo of themselves that's not decent. Is that halal or haram? Now, if they only work to achieve dunya, they don't care about haram and halal at that time. Yes, On Friday, they'll also go for Jummah namaz. They'll also go for Dua Qumiyat because there's nothing to do at that time. Or it's like a social activity they want to do. So this, I'll agree and disagree. You can be a Muslim. That's why I said your answer is 2 parts. Nobody fell for the 2-part theory. You can be a Muslim, but a very basic Muslim in the sense that you're just saying that I believe in Allah. And when you get a chance, you pray. Let's say, for example, there's an event on, let's say now you want power, okay? And there's an event where you're going to go, and if you attend this conference, it adds a lot of value to you. People listen to you a lot. And in this conference, it's going to happen because it's for one of those, you know, those really cool progressive youth. It's going to be from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. Like continuous. Means you're going to miss namaz. But now this only work to achieve dunya is very important for you. You want that power come what may. You do that, so you avoid the wajib. So see, the challenge comes here. You can be a Muslim, and many Muslims may live like this. Although I'd like to think it's a bit of a spectrum. It's not black and white. It's not like, look, I'm just going to do what the dunya says. There's a spectrum. Some people say that, look, if this is going to cost me this much, then I'm not going to do it. Like for example, look, namaz, let's say a person wants money. Namaz, how much is it going to cost me? Namaz, for example, look, 4 rakat, I can pray in like 3 minutes, right? If you want to pray really fast. You can, by the way. You pray in 3 minutes, pati jai. That's sorted. But then, for example, khums, I earned so much money, I have to give 20% of it away. Okay, let's find a loophole for that one. You know, like you go to a person, it's like, find me a way out. Some people come and ask questions like this, like, I've got this much savings, sort it out. I don't want to pay khums. Right? So, if you're only going to work to achieve the dunya, whether that's wealth, whether that's fame, popularity, whether that's power, this isn't going to work. Because you're not going to be able to do the basics. Keep this question of basics. So we had a quick debate about excelling and basics. I heard a few other, I think you supported basic as well. Can we settle for a basic Islam, or does everyone has to go to the higher level of excelling? There's a good discussion, we'll have it in a few minutes. But I'm trying to say even the basic level you can't do with such a lifestyle. Because there's going to be places where your akhirah and your dunya, or your deen and dunya, do contradict each other. There's going to be places. And not once in a month, and not once in a week, and not once in a day. It's going to be a constant struggle in your day. And if a person has thought about their lives, you'll find these. You'll find these instances where if you really want to be wealthy, you have to avoid this ruling of Islam. If you really want to be popular, popularity is a good one because nowadays a lot of people are into popularity. That's something that's been made really big in our eyes, right? The first time you hear of a name, you search them on Instagram, and the first thing you see is how many people are following them, not how many people they're following. That's the second thing, and that also shows something about them. But the first thing that you see is how many people follow this person. It means how popular they are. And if a person has 10,000 followers, this person is somebody I'd like to meet. But if they have 110 followers, 111 followers, because 110 is a nice number, 111 followers, you're like, yeah, okay, we could meet, right? And we strive to have such popularity. Is popularity bad? We haven't answered that yet. I'm just trying to say that you only work to achieve this, then you can't keep the basics of Islam. Any questions over here? Are we following? Okay, alhamdulillah. It's nice to see the nodding. So this is clearly against the Quran and Hadith. So this is, now we can start to understand the Hadith of Seda, you can call it. We can start to understand this Hadith. There's another Hadith that's even more graphic than this. I didn't pick that one. Okay, let's move ahead. And there's ayat of the Quran as well that explain the dunya to be like this, that it's just a game. We can start to understand that maybe it's talking about this, but I'm not concluding yet. Are we good? Should we move on to number 2? Number 2 is, somebody mentioned balance, and I said that we'll think about it. Who mentioned this from the back? You mentioned it. Very good. So a bit of both, but the picture has given it away. Work to earn in this world and live well. So in this world, earn well, live well. When it comes to the akhirah, work on your akhirah too. Like, I want to give you an example. Like this person who's unfortunate to have a dog and a cat. The dog wants the bone, the cat wants the fish. Can you see the guy? Poor guy. What's the issue that he's facing? He wants to keep his dog happy, he also wants to keep his cat happy. The cat wants one direction, the dog wants one direction. Imagine, so I know these smart people in the class are like, just leave the dog for 1 second, he'll bring the bone, leave the cat, he'll bring the fish, patigyo. Now these are tied to the ground, okay? They're tied to the ground, and the guy doesn't have any extra rope. Please stop exploring other options, okay? Let's stick to the question at mind. Were any of you doing that, or did I inspire you to? You were? Oh, God. Anyway, it's good that you're thinking at least. We're going off track though. So what does this person do? This person, he wants to keep his animals happy. If he pulls both of them really tight, they're both going to be angry. If he leaves one, that one's going to be really happy. This one's not going to be happy. So what does he do? He gives a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, and in the end, inshallah, both will get. The dog isn't happy. You know, have you ever had food, like for example, the example of a dog, right? You have food, like for example, between bites, you're not allowed, you know, like your tooth is hurting or somebody's talking and you have to reply and you don't want to talk to them. And you have to have like gaps between your bites. It's not enjoyable, right? So this dog is like, all right, like I'm getting, do dogs eat bones? I don't even know. Anyway, the dog is getting the ghost on the bones a little bit here and there, but it's not satisfying. And the cat is also getting the fish, but not in a satisfying way. Or another example is like your goal to do exercise and earn well. You want to be fit, you also want to earn well. You want both of these things. If you go to the gym for 3 hours a day, you won't be able to work properly. Not because you'll be in pain, that's another thing, but because it'll take up that much time of your day. And if you work the whole day and you don't go to the gym, then you won't achieve that goal. So these are two goals that you have. This model presents that the dunya and akhirah should be like this. Get a bit of the dunya and get a bit of the akhirah as well. Don't overdo the dunya, don't overdo the akhirah. What do we think of this model? Yeah.
I think it won't really work.
Why?
Because, you know, you say that if you let the cat have a bit and dog, and then you mentioned, inshallah, both of them might end up being happy. But there is uncertainty over there.
Okay.
Which leads to, you won't get good of either one of them. So you have to be strategic about it in such a way where you plan efficiently, where you work towards your dunya, and this way where you're preparing for your akhirah.
You work towards the dunya.
You work in your lifetime to
Okay.
prepare for your akhirah.
Okay, keep that with you. We'll come to that, that's correct. But I want to understand. I would ask questions just now. I don't know if you've understood it fully or not. Like sometimes we've heard the words, but I want to see if we've understood it, but that we'll come to, inshallah. Anything else about this model? Is our life really like this? I think some people's lives do look like this. It's like, for example, at work, sometimes you go into things a little bit extra. For example, okay, there's a few things that you have to do, like, okay, there's an amaham that you have to shake hands with. Okay, fine. There's a music video that you have to, okay, let it go ahead. Then after some time, you go to the mosque and you're like, literally somebody told me this. Another friend of mine, a third one. He told me this, that, he called me Sheikh. So he's not such a close friend. It's fun because you guys don't know these people. He said, Sheikh, I have a plan to do, I'm not going to give too many details because you guys might know these people. I don't even know your surnames. Can you say your surnames? It might be like your brother. He said, I have a plan. Now I can see all of you guys going home and asking all of your siblings, we have to find this guy. Hunt him down. He said that I have a plan to recite Dua Kumail every week. And when I don't manage, I stack them up. So if I don't manage for 7 weeks, on one Thursday I recite 7 Dua Kumails. Yeah. So I told him, please don't do things like that. But this is what some of our lives look like, right? We go to Arba'in, we go to Karbala, we're like, all like, yeah, you know, this is the Islamic way. You come back, and then you're like, yeah, work is really important, you know. We can't pay attention to these hijab discussions. We can't pay attention to lying and backbiting. These are all like, put these aside. And then you come back to this side for a little while, you're like, no, tawbah, astaghfirullah. And our lives are a bit like feeding the dog and the cat. Some people live like this. Inshallah, you don't. Although if you do, it's not a problem. We have to work forward from it. And all of us are at risk of living a life like this. But this seems wrong. Like you said, you don't get both properly. And the second point, I want to hear from someone else. You said it. I want to hear if somebody else caught it or if they've thought about it. Yeah.
I think this method will eventually drive you crazy because you're trying both.
Correct.
But what you say But I think that realization needs to be a little more strong that the person stays like
Realize what strongly? That work is really important, or that akhirah is really important, that both are really important?
Work is important.
Okay.
Akhirah is more important.
Ah, good. Okay, so we're making progress now. So you don't agree with this, basically. You're trying to say, can anyone solve it with the analogy for me? What's been mentioned so far? So the first point was that neither are happy. Fair enough. You go home, you have 2 angry pets. The second point, let's try and apply it. That one is actually more important than the other. Can you apply it to the analogy? For example, why do you pick the najis one? The dog has eaten biryani for lunch. It's just like messing around. The cat is like starving. If it doesn't get a bite of fish, it's going to die. That's one way of saying it. Or you could say that the dog is more important as well. Both work. Basically, one is more important than the other. So this motto doesn't work. Interestingly, the ideas that we started with, some of them sounded like this. That's why I think you had mentioned, I told you not to explain. One way of balance sounds like this. I don't know if you meant it or not. It was you, right? You can't remember? I think so as well. Or whoever did. That we have a balance between the two. One, it's a bit like this. Sometimes when people want to explain balance between Deen and Dunya, or Dunya and Akhirah, they're a bit like, look, don't go so much into your job that you completely forget the Akhirah, but don't also go so much into the Akhirah that you forget this world. Both are important. It's like this, right? So this is a wrong explanation for 2 reasons that we mentioned. One reason was that you can't manage both. You'll go crazy, as you mentioned. The second reason is that we think one is more important than the other. Okay, let's move on. So obviously it doesn't sound right. So number 3 is the right answer, it seems. That you seek only the hereafter. I was trying to look for a photo of paradise online, and they keep showing these nice islands. So this looks like it. See, there's a waterfall and a mountain and the sea and the river and a waterfall falling this way. So this is like Jannah, yes.
I have a question for you.
Yeah. Please.
So why are we making the assumption that living, let's say, a dunyavi life is like you're also or you're, let's say, getting into the haram.
Okay.
You can't live in this dunya
Okay.
focusing on the halal.
Are you talking about this?
No, the second one.
Okay. The second one, you work a bit on both. So you're saying that, look, the minimum, what I'm going to do in my work is anything that's halal. Right? So that's a bit. You don't get everything, right? I've understood that part, right?
According to this, we're saying that
Yeah.
you're doing a bit of both.
Yeah.
So you're working towards your akhirah, but you're also getting too much into the dunya such that you get into the haram acts. Right?
Okay.
But why are we making the assumption that living a dunyavi life
Yeah.
it makes you, like, you end up going into the haram. Like,
Yeah.
we are living in this dunya, let's
Yeah.
say, for example, here, but you live in halal life.
Okay.
Right?
So let me give you an example. So you're saying that this dog, this part of the bone is halal. Me, when I'm saying that a bit of both, let him have this bit. Super. It's a halal bit. That's what you're saying, right? Did you understand the example?
Yes.
So in our life, we have some things that are halal, some things that are haram. The bit that you get of this life, pay attention to it. The bit that you get of this life is a halal bit. So at work, I have 10 transactions. 8 are halal, 2 are haram. Leave those 2, take those 8. So you've taken a bit of this world. So it sounds right.
Yes.
I agree with you. Let's come to this side. The bit of the akhirah, which bit of the akhirah are you going to take? It says a bit of both, not a bit of the dunya. Which bit of the akhirah are you going to take? You're going to leave the tail, because tail of fish is not very tasty. But what's the tail of the akhirah? It's like you're going to leave this bit. You can't, right? It doesn't work like that. You get my point?
Yes.
So you're working towards the right answer. It's just these words don't fit it. This lifestyle doesn't fit it. This lifestyle would be a person, if I want to come to your level, as in what you're suggesting, level doesn't mean come down. I mean, I want to mention it the way that you did, the example that you're giving. This would be a person who says, look, I'm careful of my wajibat. Okay, I'll be careful of my wajibat. When it comes to the hereafter, if there's certain things that are required for me to progress in my hereafter, some of them leave. Some of them take, some of them leave. So in essence, this person's saying, I'll be careful of my wajibat, but I also won't be careful of my wajibat.
Okay, so basically someone that is choosing to live a bit of both, right? But not someone who's trying their best and ends up.
Very good, that's fine. Struggle is not, there's a choice. That's a good point. Yeah, do you want to add something?
Basically, the person is looking at their convenience and what's the most.
Yeah, exactly. You're picking it based on what you feel, right? Some Islamic, yeah. Let me just finish this. So some Islamic rulings are to my benefit, I'll take those. Some that are not, I'll leave those. Yeah?
How are we defining Dunya? Is it
Very good.
going to work?
Subhanallah. See, ask these questions. You've like sold my class now. That's exactly what we're going to do. What does dunya mean? It's a very essential question. Let's move on. That's exactly what we're going to discuss. Only hereafter suggests that only work for you hereafter. Forget about this world totally. This is what this side suggests. That forget about this world. All of this dunya ni mukba dumuk. Forget this fame, forget popularity, forget money. You don't need money to live. Who says you need money to live? Just live the life of a content person. Eat. Come on, what's cheap over here? Like jemakai fekai gyuche. The corn that like people have thrown away, nobody's in going, like chew on that, you'll get some fiber or something. Like eat the peel of the watermelon, right? This kind of thing. This sounds nice, doesn't it? As in not to eat that stuff. It sounds like a good idea, right? It sounds like what some of us think the imams lived like and the ulama lived like, right? Sometimes when you hear those stories from the ulama, doesn't it sound like this? Didn't they live like this? So then this is the good way. That's why I said 3 or 4 or 5. 3. We're good. Let's go. Class finished. What's the issue with this one? Or is there an issue with this one?
Sounds odd.
Sounds odd, for sure. But a lot of things sound odd, but we accept them.
And you're allowed to want to eat good food and have nice things. Like, you
Okay.
have to take care of yourself also.
So the 2 points are different. One is that you're allowed to have good food. One is that you have to take it. It's 2 different tones. One is it's fine to. One is you must. The first one isn't a very strong argument because you say, okay, it's nice to. You should. And I say, no, you shouldn't. When you say you must, that means that must be rooted in something. What's causing for you to say must?
You must be careful.
Yeah. Who says you have to take care of yourself? Yeah.
I don't want to say Islam, but I also want to at the same time.
Brilliant. Say Islam. Islam does. Is that what you're going to say? What do you want to share?
No, I forgot.
No problem. We'll come back inshallah. Islam does. Islam in the Quran tells us to take care of ourselves. Hadith tell us to eat well, to drink well, to live well. Yeah?
As long as you're not attached to it. I've heard a story of one of the things. It was one sheikh, I don't know, not quite.
Mashhad?
Yeah.
Okay, leave that story. We'll come to it. I'll let you say the story at the end. That's exactly what you want to conclude. Yes?
I have a question. So aren't those who live in Islamic countries, so let's say in Poland, live
Yeah.
a life where there, there's also a lot of spirituality and
Yeah.
they're working towards the akhirah? Or is that just like
It's like the image that we show you guys and then we go behind the scenes and then we're like, yeah. Islamically, it's incorrect. The Prophet... Okay, because these questions come up so strongly, let me give you another story. It's not from my friends. I'm running out of friends now that have interesting stories. Our Imam Ali alayhi salam, went to somebody and he saw his house was really big. This is Nahjul Balagha. We're building towards the conclusion now. We don't have time anyways. We're supposed to end at 1:45, so I only have like 12, 13 minutes. This guy had a massive house. Imagine you go to like, I don't know, near Seacliff. This guy's got like a massive bungalow, like cool things, right? And Imam walks in and says, wow, you've got such a big house. And then the Imam tells him off that you need to pay attention to your akhirah. This isn't something that you should be paying attention to have such a big house. But then the Imam says, unless, now this is the secret of the whole, so I'm going to miss this part out, unless until the end, and then come to our story. I'll come to this. In the next slide, I'll come to this. Unless you spin around 3 times and say La ilaha illallah, then everything becomes halal for you. Unless something. And then this person says, fine, I've understood, but I also have another brother. And he says, okay, what's up with your brother? He says, my brother has left this world, not died, He's moved away from this world, gone to the mountains, left his family, and he's living that life of abstinence. You know what abstinence means? Zuhd. Detachment from this world. He eats those machens and achal, right? The peels of fruit. You guys know Gujarati, right? You should. Come on, unacceptable if you don't know Gujarati. Or like a nice language, Gujarati, Urdu, some cool language. Anyway, so this person is living a lifestyle like that. Do you know what the Imam says to this guy? The Imam says, bring your brother over. He brings him over, he tells him, Ya udayya nafsak. It's like, oh, you're an enemy of yourself. لَقَدْ اسْتَهَامَ بِكَ الْخَبِيث. Shaitan, the khabith, the wretched one, has tricked you. Topi perai hota ne. Topi. Ave Gujarati ma class rakso. Shaitan tane topi peraivo. Shaitan has completely deceived you, he's conned you, if you want the English word of topi peraivo. Now, this guy is like, but Imam, I'm earning the hereafter, I've separated from the world, I'm living the Qumi lifestyle. But the Imam tells him that that's not the way to live. You have to pay attention to your family, you have to pay attention to your health, you have to pay attention to everything in this world that's important. That person's going to deteriorate in a few months. They're going to have like deficiencies in every single test in the world. That's not the way to live. The Imams taught us this isn't the way to live. And in Qum we don't live like that either. We live very nice lives. I regularly play sports, very fun sports. I go out with my family to eat nice food. And we go for trips at times even. It's very similar. The lives are very similar. In fact, sometimes I find you people in Dar es Salaam a bit boring. Like, how many of you have been to like Serengeti? Oh wow, you're cool people. But like in Dar es Salaam, usually people haven't even been to Samepar. You know Samepar? Like Kigamboni. People haven't even been to Kigamboni. They're like, so in Qum we're very cool. I have a car over there. I've driven like all over the country. Like a lot of kilometers. I've even driven to Tanga over here. And it's fun. Yeah.
Do you have a family and we're taking your family?
Sorry?
We're still children to our parents, so.
No problem. No problem. You can lobby with your parents. It's possible.
So if I were to, I wouldn't say conclude, but to sort of give it to look at this from a perspective of like a whole picture.
Very good.
Living this life where you only focus on the hereafter is very impractical because you're sort of forsaking the dunya, whereas you need the dunya to be the after.
Brilliant. That's exactly the point.
And sorry, I just want to.
Please.
And so when you go back to point number 2, if you were to again go back to what one of the sisters said, you need to sort of have an imbalance.
Okay.
Where you, at the back of your mind, you know which one is more
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
So you weigh out. If the akhirah is more important,
Exactly.
then you can't just strive towards it without having your ability.
Exactly. Very good. Brilliant conclusion. So the last point that we're going to say is you can have both fully. That's why I said 4 or 5. I don't have a 5th one, by the way. You can suggest one over here. Could you have both fully? You have the world fully and the akhirah fully. Possible? How?
I disagree.
You can't.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know that we have to have the akhirah fully now. But how much of the dunya we'll speak about. But you say we can't have both fully.
We can't have the. Actually, no, yeah, you can't have both fully.
Okay.
But like you need more percentage of the akhirah in life.
More percentage. It's like the dog is more hungry than the cat. So give him a bit, but still he's not supposed to take all of that.
Okay. Yeah. But like you shouldn't have attachments.
That's fine. We'll come to that. Let's work, because that's an important word, but let's work to the concept to get to the word. Sometimes we know the answer, so it's like, you know what it's going to come to. But let's work with concepts, we'll get there. So what do? Can we have both fully or not?
Yes, you can.
Yes? Okay, who says yes and is able to explain? You want to go on?
I would say you can because like if you want the akhirah, you can say, okay, you can use the dunya, make the most of the dunya in an akhirah, like aim for the akhirah.
So you get all of the akhirah, perfect. We've got that. The sister concluded, we've all understood. In the akhirah, we're not going to have a part of the fish we're going to throw aside. All of that fish is ours. Or our cats. But for the dunya, can you have all of the bone as well? Yeah?
I think so. You can have money
Okay.
and you can have fame.
Okay.
You don't have to compromise. I think you're looking. I think you're looking at it in a
fully. All of fame, all of money, all of success isn't a good one. All of fame, all of money, all of power. All of it. There's one popularity that you can only gain by doing haram things.
But why do you have all of it?
Okay, fine. So you can't.
I mean, you can have the feeling of I'm rich. And
Fully. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times I underlined it. Can you have both fully? No? Yes? Who says yes?
I say yes.
Okay, why? Explain it, please.
We can have the hereafter fully.
That's fine. We've all agreed on that one.
And this world as well. Depends on your concept of what you mean by content.
Very good. Oh, contentment.
I mean, if you're content with the life that you're living,
Okay.
then that means I would say that, okay, I've gotten my dunya fully.
Okay, that's better. So we'll move back to who said what you said. What's the meaning of dunya, right? It comes back to that question. When I say get both fully, you have to ask what are the two of them? What does it mean to have dunya fully? What does it mean to have akhirah fully? Akhirah fully is taken. We're not discussing that. You have to do everything that will get you to your akhirah in the best way possible. That's for sure. That's how our lives are. These are our priorities. There's no discussion on that part. But how much of the dunya? So that's why I said there's 4 and 5. There's 2 ways to understand this. If you understand fully in the sense that you get all of popularity, all of money, all of fame, everything, no. But if we redefine what the dunya means, there is a way that we can get all of it. So live for the hereafter. This is something that we've established. There's no need to discuss this anymore, although I'll bring some beautiful hadith if we get a time to discuss this. But live this life well too. Does this mean fully or not? No, the sentence says live this life well too. Means the dog is really important. Give the dog everything. If the cat gets a bit, fine. Or try and give the cat as much as you can, as long as you don't stab. Oh, don't stab the dog. You don't starve the dog, okay? Don't harm the dog. Do you remember the hadith of the Prophet that says, seeking this harms that and seeking harm? That's the same concept. So we live for the hereafter, and if anything that we go for the hereafter, some of the things that we're doing here is going to harm some of our achievement in this world. Honestly, if, for example, a person that isn't a Muslim, they can achieve certain, I'm picking my words carefully, amounts of money, fame, popularity, power that a person who's a Muslim shouldn't and isn't permitted to. Agreed or not? It's obvious. It's obvious. Come on. Sorry to say this, I'll say it very quickly and fast, but look at the most popular people on Instagram. Right? Generally, they're doing things that are not Islamic, right? And the most popular people around the world. They're doing things that are not Islamic, that Muslims can't do and shouldn't do. So you can't have everything in the sense that all of money, all of power, all of fame, all of that you can't. Yes?
I have a question. What
Yes.
are the sheikhs that are popular?
Very good question. The sheikhs that are popular, if I've got an answer, I want to make it practical for this class and try and apply it. So I'm going to be, perfect, I got the answer. What I'm doing just now, okay? If I said a joke without thinking about it, it would make you laugh probably. But if I thought about it, it probably wouldn't make you laugh as much because I've taken a pause. But I have to think about it because I can't make some inappropriate jokes. See? And this causes popularity. Sheikh Azhar Nasser, who's got very nice tweets and very popular. How many tweets he must think about that he sees these are not appropriate? I shouldn't send these. Have you seen his tweets? They're very, mashallah, appropriate. You won't find any indecent comments, content. You won't find any bad words. You won't find anything. If you put a bad word, his followers would spike because they consider him cooler. So these people are people that, if they're doing it well and correctly, they're people that are doing all of akhirah and also taking the amount of dunya that's necessary. But it's a good question because I want to build more on it. Anyone else want to speak before we conclude with this? We only have like 3 minutes left. Okay, let's finish this slide. I've got one more slide that we'll discuss next week. So let's conclude with the story because I told you I'd finish the story. What the Imam said to that person, and that's building on what I said I'll tell you, and this point that I'll conclude. The Imam told that person that having a big house is not good. You should be working for your akhirah. Unless you use this big house to keep guests, to help people get their rights. And he said a few other things. These are the two that are in my head. There's one more thing, I think. I can't remember just now. But you can add things that are actually beneficial. You know, some people, now say your story, then I'll finish the class.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. So let me say the point and then, you know, you don't know the story fully, it's bad because the punchline gets in the middle sometimes and then everyone's like, what's going on over here?
I think you know the story.
It's okay, I'll say it. I don't want you to mix the story up and then it just... some people have really big houses, okay, but they don't use them for anything positive. Some people have really small houses, they use them positively. I went to a person's house in Arusha when I was there in my Ramadan. This guy, any of you from Arusha will know who I'm talking about, and I don't mind because it's a positive thing. This person has a really small house, but in that house they have like a mehfil where they have majlis and stuff like that. Small house, like some people have like massive houses and they're like, sorry, you know, jagya nathi kare. And this guy, he's got a small house and he's got a mehfil inside. I'm sure you have loads like this in Dar es Salaam. This is just one example. Some people, for example, have 3 cars, right? And you ask them, look, we need somebody to transport, we've got the driver, we've got everything, just lend your car please for a few days, somebody needs to drop people from this to this, I don't know, and they're not. Some people have 1 car, they'll go to work walking and give that car away. So you can see the possessions aren't necessarily what's going to define how much service you do. It's how much you want to do. The example that the sister wanted to say was the story of a king and a poor person. I hope, if something else, then you should have meant this one. The king and the poor person, they meet each other. The poor person has got, and this poor person's acting like those, you know, those abstinent, very zahid people. He's got that, you know, that they have that thing, what's it called? The stick and the sack on the end. You've seen them in cartoons, right? They carry them over there. You know what I'm talking about, right? What's it called? Potlo. Exactly, yeah. So he has this, and all of his possessions are in that, right? Like if I want to make it today, he's got his toothbrush and everything inside that. And he goes to the king and says, look at you. All of these castles, all of these things. Look at me. I have the real life. I'm living the real life. So the king says, fine. So he comes to his house and he puts the king's house, he puts his potlo down and he tells him, it's potlo, huh? Yeah. Okay, I learned a new word. He puts his potlo down, I hope it's right. Otherwise it'd be really funny if he meant like something else totally. He put it down, that thing down, the object, and the king says, let's go to Mashhad. And they start walking towards Mashhad, they start going towards Mashhad, and on the way that person says, I've forgotten my object X. I don't know where I've left it. And the king says, but like, you didn't even have anything special in it. He says, no, we must go back, miss our trip because I have to go and get that. He says, but look, if we go, we won't get to make the trip, we won't be able. He says, I don't care. So king says, look, am I the one that's attached or are you attached? I have so much, but at the time when it's time to give or to leave, I'm ready to do that. You have so little, but you're so attached to it. Okay, we'll end with this thought. We have another session on Friday. Yes?
Can you say this is a real story?
Yeah, it is. I might have changed some ways of saying some things, especially the object X's name, but it's a true story. The king's name he's one of the Iranian kings. I forget what his name is. Ismail or Shahbaz? Ismail or Shahbaz. But if you want, I can search it and find it for you. Although it's a narrated story, we don't know if it really happened. Okay, our time's up. And it's past as well. Please keep these thoughts in your mind because we haven't concluded yet. But let me give you a quick conclusion. So for 4 days, you're not confused about life. You'll be going to work and you're like, oh no, what do I do? The conclusion of all of this is that, like the sister mentioned, and as you mentioned, and everyone is mentioning, alhamdulillah, that we cannot compromise our hereafter for anything. Anything. That's something that we have to focus on. Whenever there's a wajib, whenever there's a haram, that's our red line. Come what may, we have to abide by that. We also must live well in this world and enjoy. Now there's 2 concepts that I'll leave you thinking, that's fine. One is luxury. Who asked about luxury? It was a good question. Yes, living a life of luxury. We haven't explained that. And the second is, can we live the dunya fully or not? These are 2 questions that we'll move on to on Friday. And we'll have a practical explanation on how to implement this understanding of life in our lives. That's Friday's lesson, inshallah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate today. I found there was a lot more interaction and a lot more good facial expressions. Inshallah. Please recite as salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.